Hey everybody, my name is Jake Smith. Welcome to the Ranker Esports 2016 LCS Spring Playoffs. Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Special show. So today I'm joined by the usual Bryce and newcomer to Ranker, Jeff Konetsky. So what we're going to do is talk about the LCS Spring Split Playoffs, which are a huge thing, especially with what's on stake going into MSI and then championship points leading into Worlds. So let's just quick run through the teams. I mean, Bryce, NA, what do you think?
Okay. Well, first off, NA, we have Immortals taking first with a record of 17-1, just very dominant the entire split. Second place is CLG, the only team to actually take a win off of Immortals, followed closely by C9, which had a rough early start, but have seemed to pick up really well. And
When they put in high.
Yeah, are now one of the top teams, followed closely by Team Liquid, which also had rough on and off patches, but still seem to look really strong.
Wait, so what place is Liquid in then?
Fourth. Like always.
Oh, okay.
Fifth place, we have Energy, who started off really strong, are kind of slumping, but still squeaking in there at fifth spot. And then sixth place, we have TSM, who obviously have not been at their normal level of dominance.
Their worst ending to a season ever.
But
Jeff, European teams.
EU, we have in first place, obviously G2, pulling it off at the end of the split. I think literally the last game.
Yep.
Then over in second place, we have H2K, who'd been number one all year, basically. They kind of lost at the end, but such is life, I guess. Then over in third place, we have Vitality, who have kind of slumped towards the end, but you know they've been a strong team all split. Then over in fourth place, we have Unicorns of Love, who despite big roster shakeups have managed to have a pretty decent spot in the playoffs. Then in fifth, there's Origin, who have been widely considered underperforming, basically, from Worlds last year to where they are now. And then in sixth, Fnatic, who are understandably underperforming where they were last year after losing probably their two best players. So
And three of their players.
Yep.
right.
Huni Reign over Yellowstar. That's, I mean...
But I mean, with Yellow Star right now, I don't think anyone's going to argue.
Yeah, I
he
don't
was one
think
of the
anyone's too worried about that.
losing a shot caller, best jungler.
So, I mean, before we get into the spring playoffs itself, let's touch a little bit on, you know, the teams coming into the playoffs and where they're at. So at the beginning of the season, I don't think a single one of us would have said TSM is going to be in sixth. Not a single one of us.
No, you know, the problem is I don't think they have a real identity as a team. Like, they don't have a play style that they adhere to every single game. They always just kind of wing it. Like, and that's why they don't close out games very well. 'Cause they rarely have this defined play style that they're going to go through. Like CLG, you know, Darshan's off in space, split pushing everywhere, and then everyone else is going to kind of carry around, do what they can. TSM, I mean, they've had games where Bjergsen is this hyper carry where he's just smashing face. And then they have games where he's just playing like a support mid and like they're asking someone else to be the carry. And so you see where they're in sixth place.
Yeah. The biggest problem I see with them is just their teamwork isn't there and they're not playing to the strengths of their players. So obviously Bjergsen's a very strong mid laner. He can hold his own against lane pretty much anyone. Svenskeren is an early aggressive, early game jungler. Like, he wants to be in the jungle, he wants to be invading, he doesn't want to be rotating and pushing towers, and he wants to be taking objectives, fighting the enemy jungler, having the team back him up. So the best I've seen TSM this whole split is on early game champions, give Haunter someone he can dominate in lane, give Bjergsen someone he can dominate in lane with, and then give Svenskeren like a Lee Sin or a Kindred or something that he can actually get into the jungle and put some pressure on the enemy jungler, and then you have Haunter and Bjergsen to back him up when something goes wrong.
Yeah. So TSM, obviously, I think all three of us agree that TSM in six is kind of the biggest surprise. What other big surprises for seeding do you guys think there are?
On the NA side?
Or EU?
Or EU?
This is worldwide.
I mean, the way that Europe shook out, I mean, with G2 just snagging that number one at the end.
No one saw that coming.
I mean, a brand new team, a brand, like essentially, I think 3 rookies on that team.
Trick and Emperor had LCK, and like Emperor had a little bit of LCS experience, but neither of them were big. Like,
And then
Trick
Perks?
was a backup jungler. Emperor only had a little bit of NA experience, a little bit of LCK, and then the rest were just brand new players.
Yeah, and so they've just
Kickus.
yeah, well, kick us out of
But
UOL.
switching from jungler to top laner.
And without, I mean, the early season was a little rough for him, but I mean, by the end of it, he'd fallen into place pretty much.
Yeah, he's been dominating on like tanky, engaged top laners. Like his Malphite was just mind blowing.
Yeah, and then some other just like more minor surprises. Energy, that's a surprise because everyone thought they were going to be a power team in NA. So it's interesting seeing all of the teams get the seeds that they did get. But the important stuff is the event itself. So let's, run through the games, kind of pick the teams apart, and then come up with a final bracket. So many brackets in March, it's insane.
Well, it starts in April, to be
Yeah,
fair.
but you got to make your bracket now.
True. All right, so first game.
First game of the entire playoffs is Vitality versus Fnatic. The 3 seed versus the 6 seed. Two teams who their colors are both orange and black.
Coincidence?
Coincidence? I think not. And both the 1 and 2 seed have the number 2 in their name. G2 and H2K.
Wow. All right. I think it's all a big conspiracy. We figured it out. Nice try, Riot. It's all scripted, like we knew.
So Vitality and Fnatic. Vitality, strong team, definitely at points looking like one of the top 2 teams, and then as time goes on, they kind of shift to looking like the third, which they are, and kind of rotating between those two. And then Fnatic, who expectedly didn't have as good of a performance.
Right. So the way I see it, I mean, Fnatic, once they completely overperformed at IEM, where they managed to
It went
find
Super Saiyan.
Yeah, they just blow up, and then they come back and they lose like their first game back, and then it's just business as usual. Cly has not been impressive for taking over for Noxic, and then losing Yellow Star. They just haven't looked good. I don't really see any way that Vitality doesn't smash them in 2 games. I think it's a clean sweep.
Bryce, I know we've kind of talked about it.
Yeah.
Similar or the same.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Fnatic's openly said that this isn't a split, that they're looking to be a top 3 team. They're not looking to win it. Like, they're looking at getting synergy with Gamsu and Spirit, getting Klaj and Reckless working together well. And there's obviously a lot of stuff they still need to work on. I think it'll be a 2-0, but I don't know if Vitality gives up Jhin, maybe they can take a game off of Vitality, but I think it's going to be pretty one-sided. I think Vitality is just so strong across the board. Nuke Duck is just a consistent mid laner. Cabashard's just a carry that you can put him on anything. I mean, they put him on Lucian top, and he went like 3-0-4.
Yeah. And I know you loved Cabochard from Fantasy.
Yeah. Except for the 2 weeks I didn't start him.
Yep. So the other side of the pond, NA on the first day, it is Cloud9 versus TSM. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say TSM doesn't stand a chance.
So the problem is, for me, I think that TSM, they have the talent, and they get the extra week to prepare, so maybe they can pull a rabbit out of the hat. Do I think it's gonna happen? No. But is it a possibility? Yes.
With TSM in the playoffs, it's always a possibility. I mean, Bryce, you brought it up the other day. TSM, while they're 6th seed, they're still probably going to get 2nd.
Somehow.
Obviously, not.
It's a stretch this
truthfully,
split, but yeah. No, I think TSM, I think it'll be a 2-1 for C9. I think TSM's strength definitely relies in like a best of 3s. They've always been shaky in best of 1s. They've always lost to like teams very below their skill level.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even in all the best of 5s they've done, or best ofs that they've done well in, that I remember, they lose the first game every time, and then they sweep.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
that was the old TSM standby.
The 3
Lose
ones.
one, win the rest of them.
I have a feeling this time it's going to be lose one and just
Lose another one.
lose the rest of them.
Yeah, no, I think TSM's biggest chance of beating C9 is going to be early game aggressive champs. You need Bjergsen to get a lead over Jensen, because Jensen's just been phenomenal this whole last 3/4 of the split.
Same
And
with
then
Rush.
also, yep.
You have to shut down Rush, otherwise he's going to carry it. Give him Lee Sin, give him Nidalee. He's just going to run away with a game.
What I did realize, TSM might get lucky. Cloud9 might start Bunny Fufu.
Yeah, that seems likely now that you mention it.
Yeah. What they need to do is they need to ban away the Nidalee. Obviously, no one's going to want to give up a bunch of picks for a Nidalee in most cases because you can't give it up at all. You have to take it if it's open, pretty much. So most likely, I expect to see that banned away, and then maybe them taking the Lee Sin in the first rotation, and then like maybe a early game top laner, maybe the Fiora for Haunter, because Haunter's been very consistent this whole split, whether it's on Poppy, Fiora. I think he's played Nautilus a few times.
Yeah, just any of those current meta top laners he's on. He's not bringing out anything crazy by any stretch, but he is performing consistently well on the consistent good champions.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
he's
I think they
been
need to
consistent
get...
on the consistent champion.
He is the king of consistency, and I mean, to be fair, he was the player on TSM that they picked up that everyone thought was going to be shaky, and he's basically been the most consistent player on that team this split.
So, we all know that TSM knows what they need to do, but I think all three of us can agree. No matter what they think they need to do, is it really going to be enough to beat Cloud9? I don't think so.
No, I don't think. I think Cloud9 takes it. Yeah. I mean,
So
there's so many priority picks for Cloud9 that there's just no way to get around it.
Yeah. So then we go into day 2 of the playoffs. In Europe, it's Origin versus Unicorns of Love. I mean, we talked a bit about Unicorns of Love with all the roster changes, and now they're in, was it 4th? Yeah.
Yep, 4th.
They're 4th, but they're still a really good team. Their last week, they had G2 and H2K. And did they win both?
They went 1-1. They lost to G2.
They lost to G2?
Yep. They beat H2K the first game, and then G2 lost because there was a joke about the top 3 teams getting together and be like, hey, let's just throw the last week of the LCS. And then G2 is like, psych, we're just going to win and take first place.
So, Unicorns of Love, they're a strong team, regardless of the roster changes that they had. And Origin, I think this is, out of all of the matches in the first round, this is kind of just the most It's Unicorns of Love's been performing really well, and Origin has just been very stale and very, I don't know. Part of me feels like they're not even a team because they've become so stale and boring.
It's been the Sven show. It's like every single game that they've won, it's been Sven just consistently just putting out so much damage, put so much pressure on the map, where Power of Evil really just hasn't shown up this whole year. Like last year, they took top 4 at Worlds. Everyone said Expeke was the weak point of the team. Bringing in Power of Evil, a strong, dominant mid laner, would actually like jump them up to a top team in the world. And it really just hasn't. He's been literally almost non-existent.
Yeah,
I want to see him throw a wrench in it and bring in Peke. Because when they brought in Peke, they played UOL and they won.
Yep.
So
they did say that the reason they put Peke in that second last week.
The second to
well,
last
Power
week.
of Evil was sick,
Yeah.
but
They also said a part of the reason that they put him in. It was the last week, because I remember Fantasy had helped me out.
Oh, that's right.
They put in Peke because they wanted to be able to switch between the two for playoffs.
Yeah.
So, as we were saying, Origin almost non-existent to a sense. They've been very boring and lackluster on all ends of the spectrum. So, all of us say Unicorns of Love.
I think they will, but it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be a 2-0.
Oh no, I don't think it'd be sweet.
Yeah, I think it'll be a coin flip either way. My best guess is gonna be Unicorns of Love in 2-1 because that's just the most consistent. But
yeah,
like their Origin's trying out that SKT style, what they did with Easy Hoon and Faker, where both of them have like different styles of champs. Like Power of Evil is more of the burst mages. Peke likes the Corki mid, the Varus mid. And that just adds a whole new dynamic. Like we'll have to see what they even put in, like who they put in.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a 2-1 for Unicorns of Love.
Which game can Origin get the lane swap off?
Yeah.
Sadly, they need the lane swap because it's really boring. But then we have the second day, game 2 in NA, which is Liquid versus Energy, probably the most contested and fought over who's going to win. And I know us three have some differences.
Differing opinions. I don't think there's any way that Liquid loses this one. And if that is true, it's only because they have to get 4th place. And if they lose this game, then they don't get 4th place.
Liquid has to win just so they can lose.
Yeah, exactly.
And then lose again?
Yeah. They have to win and then lose, and then lose.
Yeah.
And then they have achieved fourth. But I honestly do actually take Liquid in this series. They're coming up right now. They just beat C9 in their last game, I
But they
believe.
just lost to Energy in week 8. Also,
Fair.
if you can't tell, you can see which side I'm leaning on.
But I want to say, I mean, Piglet, he's easily a top 3 AD carry in NA right now. He's been playing
Did you
consistently
see his
very well.
Yahoo interview?
No.
Him and Matt did an interview, and Piglet said that him and Matt are the best bot lane in America, and he is the best AD carry in the world.
I mean, good for him. He's not shying away from it, that's for sure. But I mean, he's not terribly far from being there.
That's a very valid point. I mean, Matt came out of nowhere and he's talked about himself and he's like, I've learned like so much in the little bit I've been playing with Piglet and Team Liquid that he feels like that he can be an elite support across the world now after seeing like improvement in him over this last like couple months.
No doubt they've improved. They've definitely improved. They've become a very dominant bot lane.
Plead your case for NRG, would
Okay,
ya?
so Energy, just going off of, number one, I know it doesn't say a ton, but they beat Liquid in week 8. And Energy, they have been very explosive. And for instance, the perfect game they had against TSM, they've had a lot of just really big games where they just destroy everyone. And I know that because I had JBM for fantasy. So I think, going into the playoffs and having time to prepare against a team that you've gotten to see play for 9 weeks, it's easier for Energy to figure out how they want to play against Liquid than for Liquid to figure out how they want to play against Energy. Am I saying that Energy will win? Without a doubt, no. I do think Liquid definitely has a chance, but I have to side with Energy for the sole fact of they're so explosive and they have been extremely, extremely dominant at times. And this is when you want to have that happen.
I have a differing opinion. Also, I would go with Team Liquid. I think Energy has been very rough. Like, obviously, each player has had their explosive moments, but Alltech has not shown up as the AD carry is supposed to be. He's been extremely low in damage per minute. Like, I think he was like 9th or 10th for a while in damage per minute as an AD carry.
No, he was last.
Was he? He was
Yeah,
last
he was
for a while?
last.
Yeah. So he's obviously hasn't been performing. Impact's decision-making has been really questionable at times. A bunch of games where you'll see him push to a tier 2 tower when his team is in base, and then he just gets like 3-man ganked and killed because there's nothing they can do. There's no pressure anywhere else. Obviously, GBM has probably been the more consistent, but then again, you never know.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
also Moon. I think the biggest problem is going to be, can Moon perform well enough
against
to
Dardoch.
keep up with Dardoch?
Yeah, that is definitely probably the largest question mark of the series.
And one thing that I think it's gonna be interesting to see is these teams actually playing in series, because I mean it's gonna be different. Because
This is the first time we're seeing a lot of them play in series.
yeah, NRG, I mean they bring out a lot of weird stuff, and I don't know how well that's actually gonna end up adapting into a series of games. Because I mean, you can only make cheese work so much, before it gets moldy, right?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
The biggest thing is like, is the cheese gonna matter if Liquid gets the comp they want? Like, is Liquid confident enough, and like if we get this comp, we can win against anything, where it doesn't matter if they pick a Karma mid or a Zillion mid, that they still think their comp is just gonna roll over it?
So all three of us have different opinions on how this series is going. I think Energy is going to win, which is different. You think
I think
Liquid
we got a
will win.
Liquid 2-0.
You got Liquid winning because cheese only works so long before it gets moldy, and then Bryce saying Liquid's going to win.
I have a
Because they're
2-0,
better.
but I could see Energy taking a game, but I still think it's very in favor of Team Liquid for me.
It's definitely going to be the most interesting series. So, if you made it to the end, thank you for sticking along with us on our magical journey.
Bard puns, doot doot.
So, thank you for sticking with us to the end. We are excited for the LCS playoffs, for the spring split. So, if you don't know, the quarterfinals start April 2nd and 3rd, and then they're every weekend from there on out. The finals are the 16th and 17th?
Yep,
16th and 17th. NA is in Las Vegas. And
Mandalay Bay Center.
Mandalay Bay Center. And then
place.
Europe is in Rotterdam. First first time League of Legends is coming to the Netherlands, which is super cool. So, once again, thank you for coming along with us. And yeah, you can follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter or Instagram, or you can go to rankeresports.com to find teams to play with and events to play in, and maybe someday you'll get into the LCS. So from all of us here, thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
Sign up at rankeresports.com to get ranked, build a team, and find events. Ranker, play together, win together.